The modern family drama isn't played out over a kitchen table, but over glowing screens, where the children aren't just finding lost remotes. They are uncovering encrypted chat logs, ephemeral ghost apps, and the festering secrets their parents thought were buried forever. Today, there's no filter for the collateral damage of adult indiscretion, and every keystroke is a blueprint for future trauma. The hook, a 15-year-old coding prodigy, Jax, cracked the passcode, exposing his artist mother's clandestine affair. Her response wasn't remorse, but a furious, protective pivot. She attacked the messenger. Now his father, Ethan, has severed all ties, trading a decade-long marriage for his son's peace of mind. I never imagined my life would decompose into a digital file labeled marital misconduct. For 13 years, Ethan, a 35-year-old architect, had built my world around Anya, my 33-year-old wife, an acclaimed visual artist. She was chaos and color, and I was structure and stability. Together, we had somehow created harmony, anchored by our brilliant, quietly perceptive son, Jax, 15. Our brownstone in the historic Willow Creek district felt like an impregnable fortress of domestic bliss. The cracks started subtly, like hairline fractures in a masterpiece painting. Anya became withdrawn, her energy usually a vibrant hum, now a low, defensive thrum. I dismissed it as creative burnout, the toll of a demanding gallery show. I believed in riding out the low tides with communication, not realizing a tsunami was gathering strength just out of sight. The truth found me not through intuition or a slip of paper, but through my son's trembling voice and a cryptic digital trail. I walked in one evening to find Jax not engrossed in his usual complex algorithms, but sitting rigid on the vintage sofa, his phone clutched like a live wire. "What is it, buddy?" I pressed, noting the shadow behind his eyes. He tried to brush it off, muttering about a difficult geometry problem. But I knew my son. I pushed again, gently, persistently. Finally, he looked up, his face a roadmap of confusion and betrayal. "Dad," he whispered, the single word weighted with devastating gravity. I saw something." My initial reaction, when he spoke the horrifying words, "Dad, I think Mom is seeing someone else," was a sharp, disbelieving laugh, a desperate reflex to shield myself from the seismic shock. But Jax wasn't joking. His eyes, usually sharp with the logic of code, were clouded with conviction. He explained how Anya, technologically inept, had asked him to configure a new encrypted messaging app, a sophisticated, vanishing message platform she claimed was for exclusive gallery contacts. While he was setting up the secure parameters, a notification flashed, a pet name and an intimate, flirty message from a contact named Vance. He confessed to doing the unforgivable. Driven by a horrifying sense of duty, he had drilled down into the app. He only skimmed the surface, but the fragments were enough. Mentions of shared afternoons, clandestine meetups at a studio in the East End Arts Quarter, and Anya complaining that she found it difficult to carve out space for herself around her responsibilities to me and him, as if her marriage were an annoying administrative task. I thanked him, the words tasting like ash. I told him he was the bravest person I knew, pulled him into a desperate hug, and promised him the matter was now mine alone. He was off the hook. He seemed to shrink with relief, but the damage was done. He couldn't meet Anya's eye the entire evening. That night, lying next to the woman who was a stranger, the ceiling became a canvas for my racing thoughts. I resisted the urge to demand a confession. I needed irrefutable proof, not the shaky foundation of a teenager's testimony. I scoured her phone, finding nothing. She was smart, but not smart enough. She was covering her tracks. Acting on a friend's advice, I contacted a private investigator, a low-profile ex-cybersecurity expert named Ria. The cost was steep, but less than the price of a lie. The call came 2 days later, cutting through the sterile silence of my office. Ria's tone was purely professional, yet the facts she relayed were devastating. Anya wasn't merely flirting. The PI had photos, time-stamped, geotagged, and painfully clear. 3 times that week, Anya had used the 2-hour window between leaving her studio and my arriving home. The rendezvous was a nondescript, low-rent motel on the outskirts of the city, a classic rookie mistake. The photos included Anya and Vance, a smooth, self-satisfied gallery owner, entering the motel, laughing, and leaving hours later, a violation documented in agonizing high definition. Betrayal is a blunt force, but the sheer disrespect of the sloppiness, the same car, the same motel, was an insult to our 13 years. It wasn't just cheating, it was an act of profound, entitled negligence. I spent 2 days working with my lawyer, constructing a fortress for my son and myself. I ensured Jax was safe at his aunt's house before confronting Anya. I didn't announce the end. I simply placed the PI's folder, the stack of glossy, high-resolution photographs, onto the duvet beside her. Anya's initial reaction was a practiced, glacial stillness. She pushed the photos aside and stared at me, the artist's gaze suddenly empty. "You clearly have your script prepared, Ethan. Go on." I cut through her pathetic denial of just being friends and her lawyerly insistence that the photos didn't prove sexual intercourse. "We both know what happened, Anya. The lies, and now. Who is he, and how long?" She held firm until I mentioned the one thing that broke her carefully constructed facade. I saw the messages on the app. The glassy calm shattered. Her eyes went wide with sudden, explosive rage. "Jax. That little, sanctimonious serpent. He snooped? I'll teach that boy a lesson he won't forget." That's when I knew the woman I loved was gone, replaced by a vicious, cornered animal. She completely deflected her own guilt, projecting it onto the one person who had tried to save our family. Her focus shifted entirely to my son, calling him rotten and malicious liability. I had been prepared for anger, tears, denial, not this savage, narcissistic turn against her own child. Keeping my hand steady, I silently pulled my phone from my pocket and started recording. It wasn't a perfect shot, but it captured her escalating, poisonous tirade, including the veiled threats to teach him a lesson and make him sorry for his betrayal. I didn't argue. I simply packed a bag. When she started screaming and hurled a priceless ceramic vase against the wall, I just kept recording, the microphone capturing the shattering glass and her escalating, unhinged accusations of me stealing her son. I told her Jax was with my brother, and he would not return until I was certain she wasn't a danger to him. Then, I walked out. I was shaking in the car, devastated, but profoundly grateful I had acted preemptively. The woman I had adored was capable of monstrous vindictiveness. Jax was safe, but broken, convinced our separation was his fault. I had to tell him about his mother's reaction, sparing the ugliest details, to justify why he would not be seeing her. The legal process was a slow, degrading slog. Anya launched a campaign of character assassination, painting me as a controlling husband who had suddenly kidnapped our son. She threatened the police. I countered by sending her the video of her tirade and threat. Silence. The emergency custody hearing was a disaster. The system, often blinded by default maternal rights, saw her outburst as an uncharacteristic emotional reaction under stress. While I was not ordered to return Jax, the judge's skepticism about the real danger she posed felt like a punch to the gut, undermining my custody bid. But time and evidence worked in our favor. Anya couldn't stop herself. She began relentlessly texting Jax, harassing him, accusing him of tearing the family apart over what he thought he saw. Jax's anxiety spiked, and he began doubting his own truth. I had to block her number on his phone. The final custody hearing was different. The judge, presented with the initial recording, the PI report, and the subsequent, calculated stream of accusatory texts sent long after the heat of the moment, agreed a pattern of behavior had been established. The footage was called disturbing. I was granted full physical custody of Jax, with Anya limited to supervised visits, a temporary arrangement that might evolve based on her consistent, verifiable behavior. The relief was overwhelming. Jax was reluctant to attend the first visitation. I convinced him, not for her sake, but for his own closure. She was quiet, contrite, and almost a stranger. In a later session, she confessed her overwhelming loneliness and accepted the responsibility for tearing the family apart. She even apologized for her monstrous reaction. Jax didn't accept it immediately, nor did I push him to. He had been through too much. Healing will be a long process, but the bond between a sentinel son and his protective father remains unbroken. Anya didn't just break her marriage vows, she tried to destroy the witness. She was entitled, sloppy, and her defense was transparently pathetic. Now she is furious that her choices have irreversible consequences. She can sit in the isolation she meticulously constructed. Her journey back to her son's trust begins with honest therapy, verifiable change, and a complete cessation of the manipulative behavior that killed my love and damaged our son. What choice would you have made when faced with the absolute choice between saving your marriage and saving your child's trust? Share your thoughts below, and be sure to like and subscribe.